Welcome to the Education Corner, a podcast by Education Choices magazine.
Education Corner podcast would like to welcome Mr. Ravi Kothakota, headmaster at Emanuel School in London. Emanuel is an independent co-educational school for pupils aged 10 to 18, situated near Wandsworth Common in southwest London. Emanuel is rooted in the local community with an ethos that promotes kindness and mutual respect. The academic offering is outstanding, with pupils obtaining excellent results in public exams and going on to top higher education institutions. The co-curricular offering is broad and rich, encouraging pupils to develop lifelong interests and passions. Ravi has previously worked as head of year at Hampton School before joining Emanuel as deputy head in 2019 and becoming headmaster in 2025. It's lovely to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Firstly, could you tell us about yourself and how you came to your role, Emanuel?
Yeah, so I was previously at another sort of independent school, not too far from here, as a head of the year, as you rightly said in the intro. And then I took the step to become deputy head pupils or pastoral, as it was previously known at the school, in January 2019 to work under the previous head, Robert Milne, and have since then been here, and then was very fortunate around about a year ago to be offered the job to take over and to succeed him. So delighted to have just started the role and have shifted seats, so to speak.
The school's website describes your values as aspiration, connection, and empathy. Could you tell us more about these values and what they mean to Emanuel and how you embrace them across school life?
Absolutely. So I think this has been a really important part of my start at the school. And I think these values are ones that are actually have been forged over the many years I've been at the school and under the previous head as well. And they've probably, in one sense, been always present. But for me, it was about codifying this for everyone. And the aspirational piece, well, if we think what we want for our pupils, we want them to aspire to be the best versions of themselves. We want them to really try things and challenge themselves and throw themselves into everything that the school has to offer. I think connection is very much about actually what schools are all based on: connections, making those connections with their peers, making those connections and forging strong relationships with their teachers. And the empathy piece is, well, it's about kindness, it's about compassion, it's about sort of understanding other people and working within this community. And I think why we're so set on these values is that they stand for, obviously, what I want as head for the staff. I want them to aspire for the young people in our care. I want them to connect with them. I want them to also empathise as well with the various challenges that they will go through as any adolescent goes through in their school career. I think it's what we want for them as a staff body, but it's also really what we want for parents as well. We want them to feel connected to the school. We want them to aspire. I often talk about the fact that the success of the school is down to the parents as well and their support that they've shown us over a number of years. And the empathy piece is normally about actually understanding the roles that we play within this partnership. And I think that piece with Emanuel is incredibly important, is having this really, really close and supportive parent body. So those ACE values have stood certainly since, really been codified since the start of the term. We also want to see that. We've done a huge piece with staff about where those values permeate our school life in everything. That might be with our support staff as well. It might be maintenance. It might be finance. It might be our admissions process. It could be catering. And we are sort of awarding that through on a daily basis through our commendation systems. They now have ACE accommodations. So the pupils can receive commendations for embodying those values. We'll have ACE awards at the end of each term, which are voted for by pupils for their peers as well. So for someone that they feel is embodying those values. And really, we've just tried to make sure that everyone is, I suppose, singing off the same hymn sheet there and really is working towards that same collective success of the school.
It really has a lovely feel whenever I come and visit. Equality, diversity, inclusion, and belonging are also an important part of life at Emmanuel. It really strikes you when you're within the community. And your school website outlines several student groups who work with staff to continually promote EDIB across the school.
Mhm.
Could you share more about the importance of these groups and promoting EDIB at Emmanuel?
Absolutely. I mean, I think pupil voice is fundamental to any successful school, mainly because, of course, any pupil that feels heard and listened to and feels that they have a sense of agency within the school to help make it better, it is really kind of engaged with that school, and they will feel happy and they will feel supported. So we do run a number of pupil voice groups. The Archer group is our specific group on equality and diversity, and there's representatives from the pupil and staff community on that particular group. They've looked at things, everything from the curriculum, changes to running our annual sort of Black History Month celebrations. They've looked at a new initiative called Every Names Matters, which gives pupils and staff for that matter the opportunity to record their name, so ensuring that it's actually being said correctly, and then we have a recording of that. And they've looked at sort of their various sort of important things within the school, just actually to discuss them, because I think one of the things I really like about the school is that actually, we are able to sometimes have those difficult and more challenging discussions, because actually I think that's a sign of a really open and innovative and forward-thinking community. So that's one of them. We'll have our PRISM group, which is the LGBTQ plus group that runs our annual Pride Week as well, but also just, as I said, provides another voice for diversity within the school community, but also I suppose just actually for people to actually just connect with different people within the school. So again, it comes back to that core value of connection. And then sort of within that as well, diversity and inclusion actually is a standing item on the school council agenda. So every time that we have one of our major whole school council meetings, that item is there that we're able to sort of raise. But then, as I said, there are various different groups sort of across. We have one of the newer ones is Culture Club, celebrating cultures from all around the world. They want to run their annual Culture Day as well, which might introduce us to different sports from around the world, from various cultures that some of our pupil body is actually represent. So all of these things I think really help us to just shine a light on some of these things.
Many parents are also very interested in the admissions process, and Emmanuel is one of a few schools that offers 10 plus, as well as 11 plus and 16 plus entry. Could you tell us more about your admissions process and any key advice for families who may be currently navigating this process? As we all know, it's all kind of about to
well, first of all, good luck to any parent that is negotiating that process, because I've sort of been through it myself as well rather recently, and it's a tricky time. So good luck to you all. Good luck to you as a family as well. And I think as a parent, my big advice is just keep everything calm as best you possibly can. It's easier said than done, I have to say. So yeah, we do have a 10 plus entrance. So we take roughly speaking, it's a two form. Year 6, it's about 48 to 50 pupils that arrive to us in year 6, and they will come from sort of kind of various different schools, and they will be interested in joining. So that sort of runs concurrently at the same time as well as our 11 plus entrance, which is normally for around about 100 pupils or so that will join us at that stage. So they'll add to the existing 48, 50 pupils that are in the school to form a larger year group, a full year group at year 7 when they join. So that process is assessed by a maths paper, an English paper, and a verbal reasoning paper. So that's the same for 10 plus entrance and 11 plus entrance. The only slight difference is that our verbal reasoning for the year 6 entrance is done online. It's a sort of an atom learning module, which we do. But otherwise, all the papers are set. by the school. There is some guidance on the website as well, so there are some standard papers as well to get a sense of the sort of thing that might be asked. So I'd always advise parents to go to the website and have a look at that and just see that their child is doing something similar as they do any of their preparation. Sixth form entry, well, that's on the basis of a maths and English exam and our online reasoning assessments as well. And that's sort of the maths, again, is a kind of non-calculator paper. So it'd be similar to the sorts of things that they are doing for GCSE. And the English, again, testing comprehension, skills of analysis, that sort of thing. And of course, what we're looking at there is probably at the same time, what sort of subjects do they want to study? Because of course, that's the skills and that's the skill set that we would look at there. In terms of both of those, once those assessments are done, or all three of those assessments, those individuals that have done well and we think they could do well at the school, they'll be invited along to sort of an interview process. And that interview process will normally involve a sort of group activity, certainly at the 10 plus and 11 plus. That involves a sort of day in which they come in and they'll almost take part in a sort of fun lesson, sort of team activity. We've done various things over the last few years. Last year was building or working towards your manual aeroplane license, so you have to build a series of aeroplanes and work in a group towards a sort of towards a deadline, test the planes, those sorts of things. And really, what we're just after there is have that sense of someone, how they're going to work with alongside their peers, how they can follow instructions as well, and are they going to just find this environment stimulating for us? And then they'll come on, and then for the as I said, for year 10 and year 11, they'll also do an interview or talk with a senior colleague, and they'll have an opportunity to talk about an item that they brought along, so something they're very comfortable talking about, and then we'll ask them a few questions about that. We'll then have a process of maybe just sort of drilling down into some of the things that they're really interested in. It's nothing to be sort of too overawed about. And actually, I think what we find is the group experience is a great leveler in a way, and it really sets minds at ease and lets them sort of enjoy something and enjoy the experience of being in the school. And then a similar sort of process takes place with the sixth form. In fact, you'll be invited in, maybe some group discussions as well, and just thinking about and reflecting actually what life is going to be like in the sixth form and the sort of skills that you might need.
With the sixth form entry, do they have to do anything related to their potential A-level subjects, or it's just maths and English?
No, so what they'll do is it'll be very much dependent on, of course, what their A-level subject choices are. So as to, obviously, if they are going down, let's say, a maths STEMs route, that maths paper is obviously particularly important. If they're going more down the humanities route, and the ability to write, is going to be particularly strong, that steering towards that English route. So the discussion will always be about the A-levels that they wish to do, why they wish to do them as well, where their strengths are around, because actually what we want is that a child comes to the school and that they're actually going to really thrive in that school, and they aren't going to find actually the pace of things is out of kilter with perhaps where they are at that particular point. And of course, as well, we'll look at their GCSE results as well as part of that entrance procedure.
Partnerships and community work are also very important parts of life at Emanuel. And you work with many local schools and charity groups. Could you tell us about some of the partnerships you have and how they benefit your pupils and the wider community?
Yeah, and I think this is a really important part of the kind of empathy piece and also the connection piece. I think I'm really clear that I want the school to be obviously transformational for the pupils that attend it, but also transformational for the local community. And I feel a strong Emanuel can really have a wider public benefit within the sort of Battersea, Clapham area. So our outreach program is really, really important to us, and really important ensuring that our pupils remain grounded and level-headed too. So every year, probably about 1,000 pupils, we think, come onto site from the local community and through our various community partnerships. And we're really proud of that. One of our flagship programs takes place on a Friday afternoon, where probably every week there's about sort of 300 to 400 pupils that will come onto site and be taught by our lower sixth pupils. And that could be anything from robotics to coding to gymnastics, to some swimming, and our pupils, what they'll do is they will design and they will create and they will then deliver those sessions. And that's a really, really important part of what we do, of putting our young people in positions of responsibility, and also ensuring that young people in the wider community can get access to our pupils and our facilities. So that's primary ambitions. And we have our Ascent program, which is 10 Saturday mornings in the summer that Emanuel staff, supported by pupils in years 9 to 13, will teach year 5 pupils as well, who are perhaps struggling to meet national standards. And of course, they also have 2 days of a trip right during our field week, right at the end of our summer term. We have year 6 enrichment, where our year 6, our two-form year 6, will actually do partnership activities with some of our local schools. We have GCSE boosters over the October and the Easter holidays with year 11 pupils from a couple of local schools as well, and they will receive lessons from Emanuel teachers. We have community swimming, we have community DJing. This is the one I'm particularly excited about, is that our director of music, Mr. Yant, he will go off to local partner schools and in primary school and deliver grade 1 DJing course as well. Which then culminates in a performance at a London nightclub. And the early shift, I might add to that as well, which is great. And obviously our sports facilities get used for community programs, and we're involved in sort of various Christmas initiatives as well. So quite a lot going on. It remains really important to me and the school governors as well that is a really strong feature of the school.
A lot of work goes on. Your pupils also benefit from a wide range of co-curricular activities and opportunities. Your clubs list, I think you've got rock and roll club. I mean, you've got all sorts going on there. Doctor Who club. I've had a good look at it. Quite a few that I'd quite like to join in on. And then you've got the Emanuel Expo and Goddard lectures. Could you tell us what these unique opportunities involve and how they benefit your pupils at all ages?
Yeah, absolutely. So Expo, it runs in 2 halves. There's a junior half and a senior half as well, to take care of sort of both sections, I suppose, of the school. And Expo is really about sort of interdisciplinary. It's about cross-curriculum. And in that sense, that you will have 2 subjects that come together and show how their interests are perhaps, there's a synergy between them. So, I've been along to them where English and geography have been talking about, the use of literature to describe certain countries. There was a great piece in which the pupils were all looking at quotations or passages from literature, famous literature, and trying to work out where that was in the world based on their understanding of geography. I think they've done the lyrics of Taylor Swift as well, and Shakespeare, looking at those 2 things side by side. The recent one I went to was on, and this one was brilliant because it's actually led by 2 sixth form students, and that was on Spanish and Latin, the roots between those 2, and why, if you're a Latinist, that you should study Spanish and vice versa as well. So it's kind of what it is very much almost taking what you might do in a lesson, but then sort of mixing it up and jumbling it up. So you're making those interdisciplinary links between subjects and really firing your imagination, because that's when I think something really special happens, I think, in learning, is when you don't sort of operate in a silo of one subject, but you start thinking about how this potentially links with this area, and then the whole thing explodes. So I think that's a really exciting piece for us every year. I think we had, I'm trying to think of the other one. The science fiction or mythical monsters and science as well, and how they work together. That was a really interesting piece just recently. And then our Goddard lectures. Well, our Goddard lectures are sort of taken from an opportunity to hear from a person from who might be sort of kind of out in the working world, and just really foster a little bit of a sense of ambition or aspiration again, and just really hear from someone who's been through that. And that could be anyone. I mean, the most recent one we had was actually an OE, Anna Zigic, who had just rowed across the Atlantic And she was talking about that and the impact of that and how she went about it, and also her role in promoting sport across the genders, but also as well sort of the case for female sport. And I think just looking at sort of different ideas and perspectives. So we've had someone very senior at Google come and speak to the pupils. We've had other OEs, so older manuals, come to speak to us, and we've equally we've had, I think, the founder of Wikipedia, I think we had come on as well. So it can really be absolutely anything, and I think if we can think it can fire the imagination of our pupils, then I think it's something that could be done, and they come out of lessons to hear that, because I think that's part of the job and part of the role that we have here is just really is lighting a few fires for our pupils.
Well-being and pastoral care is also very important, especially throughout the teenage years. And your school website says, we understand that a happy child, one who feels supported as part of a kind and welcoming community, is one who will achieve their very best. What approaches do you take across the school to support pupils and ensure they're able to achieve their best and thrive?
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously fundamentally, one of the reasons that I think the school has been successful recently in public examination results and in a number of areas has really been the synergy between the academic side and the pastoral side, and how we worked very carefully and closely together to make sure that every pupil feels supported and that they can thrive. And I don't think that's it's a state secret or anything. I think it is just actually the fact. And I think it probably starts off on the ground floor. We have obviously form tutors, like every school will have, and then we will have a head of year, which most schools will have, but we also have deputy heads of section and heads of section as well. So each section of the school, lower school, middle school, and sixth form, is really strongly catered for. And I think one of the messages, and I go back to that value of connection, we've always said that the successful pastoral care, in the same way that success in the other areas of the school, comes down to the fact that actually the school, the child, and the parents are working together. And I think we very much see them as partners in the success and in the support that their child is having as well, because we think that's where the best pastoral care comes from. So I think we've got the structures within school. We obviously have counsellors, school counsellors as well. We have a chaplain on site as well. So there's a range of different people to talk to. And actually, in those pupil voice groups, we now have a wellbeing committee as well that discusses these particular areas about actually how do we boost, how can we actively go out and boost wellbeing within the school? What are the things that can actually really help? And, we've been really proud recently as well that, in our pastoral surveys that we do biennially, the pupils that unanimously talk about actually they feel safe and supported at school, and they feel that they know who to go to if they have a concern. And then we have things like the wellbeing hub as well, so parents have access to that, pupils have access to that, staff have access to it. So again, a trusted resource of external support. We have expert speakers that come in, and we've just had one just kind of the other night as well, just again to give different perspectives on how you support your child through adolescence. And that's really helpful for us. It's really helpful for us as teachers, but I know it's really helpful as well for parents as well, to feel that actually there's some expert guidance there. And then beyond that, as I said, that connection that we retain with parents is really key, because actually when we're having that dialogue, the child can feel exceptionally well supported too.
In the sixth form, your pupils also undertake the Emanuel Award programme. Could you tell us more about what the Emanuel Award is and how your pupils benefit from this?
Absolutely, and this, I mean, look, the heart of the Emanuel Award is obviously that we want pupils to come in and we want them to do well academically. We want them to aspire again to whatever the option is, the higher education option is that they're looking for. But actually, we think being part of this school is very much about a number of other areas as well. So for us, there is the academic, but there's also the co-curricular and how they're engaging in the co-curricular, how they're engaging with our partnership program, our community, and futures and well-being. And in those particular areas, we feel that actually, if we can get the child working, obviously within their lessons and they're doing their academic work, but those other areas are all supportive of that same goal of them aspiring. So within that, what they do is with their form tutor over the year, they track their contribution in those particular areas of the areas that they're actually doing to actually be successful. So for example, it might be, are they doing some volunteering? Are they doing some mentoring? Are they playing for a sports team? Are they involved in a particular a musical group or a play, one of the many plays that's taking place at school? And what they'll do is that they'll work towards that, and then they can work towards their Emanuel Award, which is what we hand out at our graduation day in May of their upper sixth. So it's kind of their final day within school is, and it has been for the last 2 years, that every student in our upper sixth has received the Emanuel Award. And I think it's a way of us just framing what we feel Emanuel education should be. And it shouldn't be that the sixth form operates in a way that's sort of different, or the expectations are different. But actually, it's about a rounded education, a rounded sixth form experience that the pupils and the students can really get on board with.
And in this edition, we are also considering Oxbridge and US University applications, both of which are areas in which Emanuel students are successful. What support do you offer for students throughout the preparation and application processes for Oxbridge and those considering university in the US?
Okay, so we've got a dedicated higher education team, and that has our Director of Higher Education, who has oversight of all of the UK applications, and a Head of Careers and Employability, who also has many years of supporting US applications. As she's actually worked in the US college system herself, and we also have an Oxbridge application coordinator, as well as a Head of Work-Based Learning as well. So looking at that side of actually, are there other areas to go on to into the workspace? So that is something that we deal with through our life education program as well, that whole application process. We also very much, as you would imagine from what I've said so far, like to take the parents on that journey as well, ensure that they are informed of what's going on, although obviously there's a degree of autonomy for a young person that is in our sixth form. So we also have a sort of futures week right at the end of the lower sixth as well, which really helps them to deep dive into those particular areas. And we also have our sort of higher education and work, sort of kind of working conference as well, that we run every year in around sort of February time, in which we invite sort of up to about 20 universities and 80 representatives from the world of work to really start to get into not only the university application process, but also that sense of work and what work is like and what different careers are particularly like. So that sort of kind of helps us move through that. But of course, a lot of our students, in fact, the majority will go off to some form of higher education, and they are incredibly well supported as they do that, through whatever the path is that they wish to do. And we were delighted this year that I think 90% of our students went off to Russell Group universities, it's incredibly impressive. And but even though those that didn't, some have gone to foundation courses in sort of artwork, and we've had some go off to degree apprenticeships as well, and very reputable one at Deutsche Bank too as well. Wow. Which was a great achievement for that young person. So look, I think we're well set up to, I think, establish that. I think one of the other things as well that's quite good and quite unique is that because we have that dedicated support on site, they are able to meet one-to-one with all of the students. So they have that opportunity to really thrash out what it is that inspires them, what it is that they're interested in.
You also shared that you are currently in the process of a building project to expand your space by over 4,000 square meters, which will include a new refectory, science labs, classrooms, and tutorial rooms. Could you tell us more? I mean, I know about the DACRA building and I've been in to see it, which is impressive in itself. I can't imagine where this building's going to go. But could you tell us more about this project and how it will benefit Emanuel students?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very exciting at the moment. So not too far from me right now, there's a very large crane on site. I think we're up to about the first floor now. You can see the framework, it seems to be going up quite quickly. So this is our new refectory and STEM building. So ground floor will be a new refectory, so dining space, social space. On the first and second floors, we will have new science labs. So if you've been around the school, the science labs are, perfectly, workable. But at the same time, this is part of our critical build plan and moving the school forward. So those science labs will be replaced with these new science labs. And then on the top floor, we'll have new maths classrooms as well. So that's really exciting for the school. It will be transformational, as I keep saying, in the sense of the ability of us to I suppose, deliver the subjects in that way. But also, I think it's really exciting for what it opens up in terms of the opportunities for the rest of the school. So those other spaces, the science labs, the vacated classrooms, we then have the opportunity to rework those spaces, and that might be for the creative arts, it might be music and drama, obviously some specific teaching spaces. So it sort of really does begin to benefit the whole school. So not just STEM, not just those areas, it's actually going to benefit the teaching of the whole school. The other element, and I come back to our outreach, it's going to be the opportunity for some of our primary school partners to come onto site and to experience using those facilities, which again we hope to be aspirational for them too. So hopefully can have a positive impact in the local community as well.
And finally, obviously you're very new in your position, although not really because you've been there a while. But what hopes and plans do you have for the future of Emanuel School?
It's the most common question right now, and I think unfortunately I don't
Heavily weighted
Yeah,
question.
yeah, I know. Unfortunately, I'm not sure I've got I think people wanted me to say something quite controversial and it's probably not quite as exciting. I think, look, the school is in a really great place, and hopefully I've been part, alongside the previous headmaster and the other staff and colleagues in the school, have been part of that transformation. I think my job is very much now, we've got those values, the ACE values that we've spoken about, is to make sure that really permeates every area of school life, that we are, we want to be the best school, in the local area, offering that truly holistic education. And that means there are a number of things that we need to continue to do even better and get better, year upon year. And I think if we can do that, we can stay in a really strong position, and hopefully the school will remain popular and we will still have families wanting to come to the school. So it's perhaps a slightly vanilla answer, in a sense that actually it's gradual and steady improvement and sustaining the momentum that we've already built up.
Well, I can be more supportive of the school. It's a lovely school. Thank you very much.